Just pop them up and you can call theirs.
All right. And is this just arraignments?
That's all it is, Judge. Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you want to go one at a time or have me call the whole docket? Or you want to do one, dispose of it, next one, dispose of it? How you want to do it?
Mr. Lucina?
That works for me.
Which one?
Oh, right. Just to go one at a time.
Okay.
I do have 3 cases I've filed a motion to withdraw on. We can just address.
I think I signed those already.
Okay.
It looked like because there was a conflict, right?
That's right, Your Honor.
Right. So when I read your motion, I saw there was a conflict. So I went ahead and granted that. And I appointed 3 other local attorneys. If they can do it, they'll do it. I don't know where these folks are exactly. I may have to reassign, but we'll see.
All right.
All right. Okay. Court's going to call cause number 2205-14429 CR TDC for trial. Could all parties identify themselves for the record, please?
Yes, Your Honor. John English with the Special Prosecution Unit for the state.
And Jonas Lucina with State Counsel for Offenders for the defense.
Is Mr. Freeze with us?
Gib Lewis, can y'all unmute y'all's mic, please?
My name is John Freeze.
Okay, all right, Mr. Freeze. Do you know why we're here today?
Yes, I do.
Okay, it's for an arraignment. Are you going to get any testimony from your client, Mr. Lucina?
No, Your Honor, just his,
Okay.
he can make his plea.
All right. Mr. English, do you want to go ahead and arraign the defendant?
Yes, Your Honor. In the name and by authority of the state of Texas, the grand jury for the county of Medina, state of Texas, duly selected, impaneled, sworn, charged, and organized as such at the January term AD 2022 of the 454th Judicial District Court for said county upon their oaths present in and to said court at said term that John Freeze, hereinafter style defendant, on or about the 29th day of July AD 2021 and before the presentment of this indictment in the county and state aforesaid, did then and there intentionally, knowingly, or recklessly cause bodily injury to Sharon Guys by striking Sharon Guys in the mouth with a closed fist. And the defendant did then and there know that the said Sharon Guys was then and there a public servant, namely a correctional officer, and that the said Sharon Guys was then and there lawfully discharging an official duty, namely supervising inmates. And there is one enhancement paragraph, Your Honor.
All right. Do you want to go ahead and read that or just leave it off? It's up to you.
Jonas, do you need it read at this time?
I don't think we need that read.
All right. Are you going to enter a plea for your clients or do I need to swear Mr. Freeze?
I can enter a plea of not guilty for Mr.
All right.
Freeze.
All right. So Mr. Freeze, you've heard the charge against you. And what is his, how do you plead to this?
Plead not guilty.
Mr. Lucina?
Yes, Your Honor, we plead not guilty.
All right. Okay. I don't have reset dates for y'all. We'll work that out. Mr. Lucina, what that means, there's been a plea of not guilty entered on your behalf by your attorney. So this case will be reset for pretrial hearings. If y'all get it worked out, that's fine. If not, it'll be set for trial. Okay. All right. Okay. Any questions, Mr. Lucina?
No, Your Honor.
All right. All right. We can call the next case. Court's going to call cause number 2205-14430 CR TDC for trial. Could all parties identify themselves for the record, please?
Yes, Your Honor. John English with the Special Prosecution Unit for the state.
And Jonas Lucina with State Counsel for Offenders for the defense.
Okay, and do we have Mr. Haynes with us?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Is Mr. Haynes in the Lewis unit?
Yes, sir.
Win unit? Okay. All right. Mr. Haynes, we're here today on an arraignment, which means you're going to be informed of the charges against you. Mr. English, would you go ahead and arraign the defendant?
Yes, Your Honor. In the name and by authority. I'm sorry, what was that? Did somebody say? I'm sorry, I thought somebody had said something. The name and by authority of the state of Texas, the grand jury for the county of Medina, state of Texas, duly selected, impaneled, sworn, charged, and organized as such at the January term AD 2022 of the 454th Judicial District Court for said county upon their oaths present in and to said court at said term that Michael Haynes, and this is count one. Hereinafter style defendant on or about the 30th day of July, AD 2021, and before the presentment of this indictment in the county and state aforesaid, did then and there intentionally, knowingly, or recklessly cause bodily injury to Brandon Trevino by striking the said Brandon Trevino in the face with a closed fist, and the defendant did then and there know the said Brandon Trevino was then and there a public servant, namely a correctional officer, and that the said Brandon Trevino was then and there lawfully discharging an official duty, namely supervising inmates. Count two, hereinafter style defendant on or about the 30th day of July, AD 2021, and before the presentment of this indictment in the county and state aforesaid, did then and there intentionally, knowingly, or recklessly cause bodily injury to Jose Hernandez by striking the said Jose Hernandez in the face with a closed fist, and the defendant did then and there know that the said Jose Hernandez was then and there a public servant, namely a correctional officer, and that the said Jose Hernandez was then and there lawfully discharging an official duty, namely supervising inmates. And there are multiple enhancement paragraphs, Your Honor, but it amounts to two enhancements.
Okay, and Mr. Lucino, how does your client plead to those charges?
We plead not guilty, Your Honor.
All right, so Mr. Haynes, there's been a plea of not guilty entered on your behalf. This case will be reset. And if you get something worked out, it'll be set for a plea. If not, it'll be set for trial, okay?
Okay.
All right, so we can move on to the next case. Is the next case going to be Mr. Colleen? Is he present with us?
Robinson unit.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Court's going to call cause number 2205-14431 CR TDC. For trial, can all parties identify themselves for the record, please?
Yes, Your Honor, John English with the Special Prosecution Unit for the state.
And Your Honor, this is one of the cases that I had to withdraw from.
Okay, so there's no attorney present, so we'll have to set the arraignment back for later. Mr. Colleen, we're going to go ahead and arraign you, even though you don't have counsel. Do you have any objections to doing that, Mr. English? I mean, the only plea I'll accept is a not guilty at this time.
I have no objections, Your Honor.
All right, so Mr. Colleen, would you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're going to give the court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Colleen, I've had to assign a different defense attorney for you because of a conflict your attorney has with some co-defendants. So I haven't assigned an attorney to you. He will be contacting you. Where exactly is the Robertson unit?
It's in Abilene, Texas.
All right. Well, we'll work that out. Like I say, I have you a local attorney presented, and the attorney will contact you. And if he is able to represent you, then he'll do that. If I need to get a local attorney in Abilene, we'll work on that too. But bottom line is you will be getting contacted by your defense lawyer shortly. However, today you're simply being informed of the indictment against you, and essentially you're going to enter a plea after the indictment is read. Okay, do you understand?
Yes, sir. Your Honor, I think my family's hired an attorney for this.
That's perfectly fine. If they want to do that, have them get a hold of us and enter a notice of appearance, and that'll be great. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So at this time, State, would you go ahead and arraign Mr. Clean?
Yes, Your Honor. In the name and by authority of the state of Texas, the grand jury for the county of Medina, the state of Texas, duly selected, impaneled, sworn, charged, and organized as such at the January term AD 2022 of the 454th Judicial District Court for said county, upon their oaths present in and to said court at said term, that Keel Colleen, hereinafter styled defendant, on or about the 30th day of July AD 2021, and before the presentment of this indictment in the county and state aforesaid, did then and there intentionally, knowingly, or recklessly cause bodily injury to Dominique Vera by striking the said Dominique Vera in the face with a closed fist, and the defendant did then and there know that the said Dominique Vera was then and there a public servant, namely a correctional officer, and that the said Dominique Vera was then and there lawfully discharging an official duty, namely supervising inmates. There's an enhancement paragraph, Your Honor. Since he doesn't have an attorney to inform him of it, I'll go ahead and read the whole thing. And it is further presented in and to said court that prior to the commission of the primary offense on the 6th day of December 2018, in cause D-1-DC-16-300530 in the 147th District Court of Travis County, Texas, the defendant was convicted of the felony offense of aggravated robbery against the peace and dignity of the state.
All right. So, Mr. Colleen, I'm just going to enter a plea of not guilty for you on this case. And how long do you think it'll be before your family hires an attorney? And are you sure they're going to, or you just think they're trying to?
Yes, sir, I'm 100% sure they're going to. They've spoken. I got a visit last weekend with them, and they said that they were just waiting for the attorney to contact them back, but that they made contact with the attorney already.
Okay.
So
And do you have any idea if it's a local attorney down here, or is it someone from some other part of the state?
I'm pretty sure it's somebody down there.
Okay, that's perfectly fine. So as soon as that attorney files a notice of appearance, then I won't worry about the attorney I've appointed for you. But until I get a notice of appearance, I am going to have the attorney that I appointed to you make contact with you. What is a good mailing address for you, Mr. Clean?
This one, 12071 FM 3522, Abilene, Texas 79601.
Abilene, Texas. What's the zip again?
79601.
Okay, and is that, I'm assuming that is the TDC unit? What's the name of the unit?
That's Robertson unit.
Robertson unit, okay. And if they just put your name on there, will it get to you?
My name and my TDC number, yes, sir.
What's your TDC number? It's probably, oh, here it is. I have it.
Yeah.
Okay, so just sit tight. You can wait on that, Mr. Colleen. And like I said, as soon as your family gets an attorney hired, they can contact us and we'll substitute him in, okay?
Okay.
All right, do you have any questions?
No, sir.
All right, thank you. All right, are we ready to do Mr. James?
No, sir, Judge, I'm sorry. The unit is having trouble logging on.
Okay.
So we have, you can either pick the Wayne unit or the Wynn unit or the Gibb Lewis unit. Those two individuals are ready.
Okay, well, give me a name of the person.
John,
Let's see, we were at the Robertson unit, which was for Joshua Kirby is at Doc Briscoe.
I believe Mr. Espinoza is at the Gibb Lewis unit.
Thank you.
Narciso Espinoza.
Narcisco Espinoza? Okay, it says he's at the Nye unit, but is he at the Gibb unit?
That should be him there, Your Honor, yes.
All
And
right.
they are muted currently.
Okay. Mr. Espinosa, would you please go ahead and unmute?
It's unmuted.
Okay, and Mr. Lucina, are you representing him?
I am, Your Honor.
All right, court's gonna call cause number 2205-14435 CR, TDC for trial. Could all parties identify themselves for the record, please?
John English with the Special Prosecution Unit for the state, Your Honor.
Jonas Lucina with State Counsel for Offenders for Mr. Narciso Espinoza.
Your name, Mr. Espinosa?
Narciso Robert Espinoza III.
All right. Mr. Espinosa, we are here today on an arraignment. So as we're going to be informed of the indictment and the charges against you, state, you can proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. In the name and by authority of the state of Texas, the grand jury for the county of Medina, state of Texas, duly selected, impaneled, sworn, charged, and organized as such at the January term AD 2022 of the 454th Judicial District Court for the said county, upon their oaths present in and to said court at said term that Narciso Robert Espinoza, hereinafter styled defendant, on or about the 25th day of July, AD 2021, and before the presentment of this indictment, in the county and state aforesaid, did then and there intentionally and knowingly cause the penetration of the mouth of Dwight D. Hines by the defendant's sexual organ without the consent of Dwight D. Hines, and in the course of the same criminal episode, the defendant used or exhibited a deadly weapon, to wit, an unknown solid object inside of a sock. And there are two enhancement paragraphs, Your Honor.
All right. And Mr. Lucina, how's your client plead?
We plead not guilty, Your Honor.
All right. So plea of not guilty will be entered in this case. This case will be reset for pretrial matters. So Mr. Espinosa, either this case will be worked out by agreement or it'll be set for trial, but your attorney will work with you on that, okay? You have any questions?
Because this never.
Okay, that's fine, but I'm just telling you that's how this is going to proceed, okay?
Okay.
All right. Okay. Do you have any questions about what was just told to you? The charge?
I mean, if I have any questions, I'll ask Jonas.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. And who are we going to do next?
Joshua Kirby, Judge at the Briscoe unit. Briscoe, can you turn on your camera and unmute your mic? There you go.
Okay. Can you hear us, Mr. Kirby?
Yes.
All right. Court's going to call cause number 2205-14433 CR TDC for trial. Could all parties identify themselves for the record, please?
John English with the Special Prosecution Unit for the state, Your Honor.
Jonas Lucina with State Counsel for Offenders for Joshua Kirby.
Okay. And Mr. Kirby, can you tell us your name, please?
Joshua Kirby.
All right. And Mr. Kirby, we're here today on an arraignment, which means you're going to be informed of the charges against you. So state, you can proceed.
In the name and by authority of the state of Texas, the grand jury for the county of Medina, state of Texas, duly selected, impaneled, sworn, charged, and organized as such at the January term AD 2022 of the 454th Judicial District Court for said county, upon their oaths present in and to said court at said term that Joshua Kirby, hereinafter styled defendant, on or about the 23rd day of August AD 2021, and before the presentment of this indictment in the county and state aforesaid, did then and there intentionally, knowingly, or recklessly cause bodily injury to Christopher Allison by striking the said Christopher Allison in the face, and the defendant did then and there know that the said Christopher Allison was then and there a public servant, namely a correctional officer, and that the said Christopher Allison was then and there lawfully discharging an official duty, namely supervising inmates. And there's only one enhancement paragraph, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. And Mr. Lucina, how does your client plead to that?
We plead not guilty.
All right. That'll be accepted. The court will reset this for pretrial preliminary matters. Mr. Kirby, what's going to happen is if you'll either get this worked out by an agreement or it'll be set for trial, but your attorney will explain all that to you. Okay.
All right.
Okay. Thank you. Let's see. Who do we want to do next?
At the Win unit, Judge, Jesse Rangel.
All right. Mr. Rangel, can you hear us?
Yes, sir.
All right. Court's going to call cause number 2205-14434 CR TDC for trial. Could all parties identify themselves for the record, please?
Yes, Your Honor. John English with the Special Prosecution Unit for the state.
And Jonas Lucina with State Counsel for Offenders for Mr. Jesse Rangel.
And would you please tell us your name, Mr. Rangel?
Jesse Rangel.
All right, Mr. Rangel, this is an arraignment, which means the state is going to inform you of the charges against you, okay? So state,
Yes,
you
sir.
can proceed.
In the name and by the authority of the state of Texas, the grand jury for the county of Medina, state of Texas, duly selected, impaneled, sworn, charged, and organized as such at the January term AD 2022 of the 454th Judicial District Court for said county, upon their oaths present in and to said court at said term that Jesse Rangel, hereinafter styled defendant, on or about the 28th day of October AD 2020, and before the presentment of this indictment in the county and state aforesaid, did then and there intentionally or knowingly possess a controlled substance, namely methamphetamine, while in the NA unit, a correctional facility. And there are multiple enhancements, Your Honor. It amounts to a double enhancement.
Okay. And Mr. Lucina, how does your client plead?
Not guilty, Your Honor.
All right. So, Mr. Rangel, your attorney's entered a plea of not guilty on your behalf. This case will be reset for pretrial matters. Y'all, if you get it worked out, we'll accept a plea. If y'all don't get it worked out, it'll be set for trial. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Okay. Who do we want to do next? Are the next two you're conflicted on, Mr. Lucina?
I believe so, Your Honor.
There's only two left, I think. So that would be three.
Right.
1, 2, 3. Actually, there's 4 left, I think.
Is that
We have a Daniel James, a John Cross,
okay?
and Kenneth Holt. Or is that just 3? John Cross. Yeah, it must be. So are you, who do we have up next?
Judge, the Wayne Scott unit is ready.
Okay,
Which
who's that on the Wayne Scott unit?
I believe that's Mr. Holt.
Okay, Mr. Holt, can you hear us?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you're conflicted on that, right, Mr. Lucina?
That's right, Your Honor.
Okay, court's going to call cause number 2205-14436 CR TDC for trial. Can you, everybody identify yourself for the record, please?
Yes, Your Honor. John English with the Special Prosecution Unit appearing for the state.
Okay, and your name, can you tell us your name, Mr. Holt?
My name is Kenneth Hope.
All right, Mr. Holt, would you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're going to give the court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
All right, you can put your hand down. Mr. Holt, you're here on an arraignment today, which means you're going to be informed of the charges against you. I will enter a plea of not guilty on your behalf today. Do you have an attorney that you've tried to hire, or do you need me to appoint an attorney? I've already appointed one to you, but I didn't know if you were going to try to hire one or not.
Well, I ain't know nothing about it. I don't even know what's going on.
All right. Well, what we're going to do today is the state is going to inform you of what you're charged with. Okay, you can proceed, Mr. English.
In the name and by authority of the state of Texas, the grand jury for the county of Medina, state of Texas, duly selected, impaneled, sworn, charged, and organized as such at the January term AD 2022 of the 424th Judicial District Court for said county, upon their oaths present in and to said court at said term that Kenneth Holt, hereinafter styled defendant, on or about the 26th day of June AD 2021, and before the presentment of this indictment in the county and state aforesaid, did then and there intentionally and knowingly cause the penetration of the anus of Lee Woods by the defendant's sexual organ without the consent of Lee Woods. And there's multiple enhancement paragraphs, Your Honor, but it amounts to a double enhancement.
All right. So, Mr. Holt, those are the charges against you. I'm going to enter a plea of not guilty on your behalf. I have assigned an attorney to you. That attorney will be contacting you shortly. Can you tell me what the address is where the Wayne Scott unit is? A good mailing address for you.
For Juster Road,
Do what?
for Juster Road,
Okay, for what road?
Juster Road,
For Jester Row, R-O-W?
ROAD Road,
Road, okay. All right,
Richmond, Texas,
Richmond,
Texas,
Texas. So if I put on there, what's the zip code? Do you know?
77406.
Okay, so if I put on there, Kenneth Holt with your TDCJ number and put 4 Jester Road, Richmond, Texas, that'll get to you?
Right.
Okay, I'll do that. So the attorney will be contacting you, hopefully, I don't know how long the mail takes, but hopefully you'll be getting something from them within, a week or 10 days, okay? And then you can correspond with them however you need to. So you're in Richmond, Texas. All right, so there's really nothing else we can do on your case until you get with your attorney and visit with him about it, okay? So that'll be all for today. Thank you, Mr. Holt.
All right. Thank you.
Who do we want to do next?
A PAC unit should have a defendant named John Cross.
Okay, are they on?
I see them on, the camera's not on and they're muted. PAC unit, can you hear us? Okay, you're unmuted now. I still can't see the camera.
Judge, also Beto's on the phone and they said they're about 5 minutes away, Judge.
That's fine.
There you go. Now we can see you, PAC unit.
Okay, PAC unit. And where is the PAC unit?
Navasota, Texas.
Navasota. All right. Court's going to call cause number 2205-14437 CR TDC for trial. Could all parties identify themselves for the record, please?
John English with the Special Prosecution Unit for the state.
Jonas Lucina with State Counsel for Offenders for Mr. John Cross.
Can you tell us your name, Mr. Cross? Mr. Cross?
John Cross.
Okay.
John Cross Jr.
All right. And you are representing Mr. Cross, Mr. Lucina?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Mr. Cross, today we're here on an arraignment, which means you're going to be informed of the charges the state has against you. State, you can proceed.
In the name and by authority of the state of Texas, the grand jury for the count of Medina, state of Texas, duly selected, impaneled, sworn, charged, and organized as such at the January term AD 2022 of the 424th Judicial District Court for said county, upon their oaths, present in and to said court at said term that John Cross, hereinafter styled defendant, on or about the 26th day of June AD 2021, and before the presentment of this indictment in the county and state aforesaid, did then and there intentionally and knowingly cause the penetration of the anus of Lee Woods by the defendant's sexual organ without the consent of Lee Woods. And there is a double enhancement, Your Honor.
All right. And Mr. Lucina, how does your client plead to that?
Not guilty, Your Honor.
All right. So, Mr. Cross, this case is going to be reset for pretrial matters. If something is worked out with the state, the court will accept a plea. If not, it'll be set for trial. That'll be all on this case, Mr. Cross. Thank you. All right.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Now, do we have a Daniel James left?
Yes, sir, Judge, and they're still having issues, but any
Okay.
second. Okay,
That's fine.
can we just, if you don't mind, Judge, can we get off of YouTube and then maybe just go over our calendars so we can get a